Hi, this is the first days of school presentation, and my name is Brittany Mary Browers from Edgecombe County Public Schools. I would like to show you some characteristics of an exceptional teacher. So there's 3 characteristics that you should always keep in mind when aspiring to be an effective teacher. You must be organized, intentional, and compassionate. Being organized means that you manage your classroom and you're consistent in what you do each and every day. When you're an intentional and deliberate teacher, it means you're focused on the learner, you have high expectations, and you know your procedures as well as you teach the procedures explicitly. When you are a compassionate teacher, you are inviting, you know your names of all your students and address them accordingly, and you always are modeling reflection. Many of you at this time are thinking, how am I going to do that? Well, don't worry, we have some virtual adaptations for all those teachers teaching online this fall. If you want to be organized as a teacher online, you could send a letter home or a video message like I am today. Hello! You could be flexible in your class times or have hybrid classes that are both online and offline for a blended learning program. And to be compassionate online, it just means that you use get-to-know-you activities and you build a relationship intentionally. The first characteristic we're going to talk about is being organized. This is so important when you're a teacher. Managing the classroom is part of being organized. Author Harry Wong expressed that this is possibly the most important unit in a book. Functional classroom management involves classroom events that are pre-planned to ensure that time is spent efficiently and effectively. Classroom management refers to all the things a teacher does to organize students' space, time, materials, and everything in the student's day so that a learning can take place. The next is being consistent. When you're being that intentional about planning, you also have to keep that same consistency all the time. It's the most important thing a teacher can provide in the classroom in the first week of school is consistency. What? Yeah, you better believe it. A well-managed classroom provides students a sense of security. What routines can be done to be established in the classrooms gives comfort, predictability, and a nurturing environment. So how does this respond to online? How can you organize students' online platforms, time, and materials during the first days of school if you're not face-to-face? Well, here's a couple suggestions. You can create an online space that is very user-friendly and also well-organized, maintained, and structured. This is a classroom that's an online classroom that allows students access to everything they need. Say the student was in math class. They could take this online platform, click on their math tab, and then open everything they need like daily activities, manipulatives, or extra work. What about in reading? This is also what it looks like online to be well organized, manage a classroom, and have consistency. This is a reading nook online that teachers can set up to provide students a very clear path of how to learn if they're not face-to-face. So we're going to take a couple minutes now, and I would like you to go through and create your own Bitmoji classroom. This is something that will help ensure that you are ready for success and a well-organized teacher the first day of school. Okay, it's time to move on to our next characteristic. That's being intentional and deliberate. Did you hear that? Intentional, deliberate. Yes, being intentional deliberate means that a student learning must be at the heart of all decisions made. Think back to when we first started this presentation. Do you remember what goal this hit? Here's an online picture reference. Still don't know? It's learner focused. Your expectations of your students will greatly influence their achievement in your class, in their lives, and ultimately the world. What does this refer to when being intentional and deliberate? Do you remember? Here's a clue. That's right, setting high expectations. Classroom procedures are statements of student expectations that are necessary to participate successfully in the classroom activities, to learn and function effectively in the school environment. What does this refer to? What is the last key takeaway that you must have to be an intentional teacher? Yep, you got it. Teacher procedures. You want to make sure that you have your procedures in place and are ready. Stop covering materials and start accomplishing right from the beginning. Ask the question, what will my students learn, achieve, accomplish? If your goal is to build community, how can you start that on day one? How will students demonstrate that accomplishment? These are a couple great quotes to get you started on the right process of being intentional and deliberate. The next characteristic is, of course, compassion. This is a crucial characteristic of an excellent teacher. When you're a compassionate teacher, you're inviting to all students in the room. You're going to consider your first impression online or digitally. How are your students welcomed into the program with enthusiasm? Can you purposefully and explicitly be inviting to all students? I think you can. If you're not sure how, just keep listening. I'll tell you a couple tricks. You must also address your participant by name. Dale Carnegie reminds us that a person's name is, to that person, the sweetest and most important sound in any language. That is why you have to know your students' names. Stop. Ask questions. Be okay with not knowing. Showing dignity and respect to the students by immediately starting to get to know them will provide an opportunity for them to get to know each other, learn the proper pronunciation of each student's name, and pay attention to what they share. Of course, the last characteristic of being compassionate is modeling reflection. Wang said that an effective teacher thinks, reflects, and implements. Now, in order to do so, it's essential that teachers rapidly progress in their command of teaching techniques by reflecting. It has to be explained and thought about like they tell us in Teach Like a Champion. Use your cumulative knowledge to solve problems and rely on both your colleagues and your students for insight. Professional educators are always learning. Be transparent with your students and work to solve problems and challenges that are addressed. You might be thinking to yourself, hey, I thought she was going to tell me how to do this online. Well, here is one way to get started. Today, I am sharing Level 1 Introduction Tips. So, I'm talking about the first 5 minutes of class. And to teach you what to do in the first 5 minutes of class, wow! Thanks, Caitlin. We'll keep watching you soon. Now, you guys have learned so many important things about being an excellent teacher on your first day of school. We're going to take some time to wrap up our learning and then go on a scavenger hunt and see if we can remember everything we've learned. We have to remember that Harry Wang tells us we must communicate. People welcome people. This matters because the first day of school will look much different than ever before, and our teachers are designing a lasting impression for students. Be a champion for your students. Be an advocate and be an ally. You must listen to the guidance of being an effective teacher, but also be creative and be yourself. School is not a place. School is a concept. Now that you've learned the characteristics of an effective teacher, take a moment to complete the scavenger hunt to find each example of exemplary teaching examples from your North Carolina professional teaching standards. Why not? Here we go. Hey there! I'm glad you guys met me over at your scavenger hunt. Here, as promised, is your scavenger hunt. You have all 6 slides of what you just learned and a space below to put what standard you believe was given as an example of. I'm going to give you guys a couple more minutes to finish your standards and your scavenger hunt, and I'll meet you back at the Google Slides. Hey friends! I hope that was really helpful for you. Please share with me your responses so we can talk about it at our next meeting. I hope now you know a little bit more about being a truly effective educator, and keep in mind there's 3 things you must always remember. Be intentional, be organized, and most importantly, be compassionate. This is Brittany Browers, and I'll see you again soon.